Dan Oman, Mike Beer, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Wednesday, April the 12th is the 5th at Aqueduct. We're going a mile and a 16th on the turf. It's a $25,000 selling event. Let's take a look at this field. Head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download those free Formulator past performances and handicap along with us in post position order. And the horse that drew the rail, Mike's the number 3 Chunnel, 1 for 21 on turf, but popular at the claim box recently.
Yeah, listen, he's actually run some good races on turf. He just doesn't seem to win that often on it, and he's not that much better on dirt either, but he is actually in decent form, or he was in decent form over the winter on the main track. I don't mind him switching to turf. He's got a great post here, but I don't know. I think he's going to have to do better to beat this field.
The number 4 is Blue Pigeon for Joe Parker, who's had just an amazing winter at Aqueduct, 26%. Blue Pigeon, though, hasn't won a race since 2015 when he was under the tutelage of Linda Rice. This is a horse that has speed, and it appears that there are several in here with early pace.
Yeah, that's the way I looked at it, too, Dan. I mean, there's a lot of speed in this race. We'll see how it all plays out. Blue Pigeon, if nothing else, he wants to be forward in his races. He likes to go out to the front, but I don't know if that's a great style for this race.
The number 5 is Branded Hand, one of several in here, forced to run on the dirt over the winter. Obviously no turf racing in New York over the winter time. This one goes out for Steve Asmussen. This horse has some pace. He also has some good back turf form.
Yeah, he does. This is a horse I'm interested in this race. We'll see what kind of prices. I think he should be a fairly decent price in this race. He's a horse I want to use somewhere because his dirt form's fine. They've basically concentrated on dirt with him the last 2 years, but as you point out, he's got really good, solid turf form back in his PPs. And I actually think he's a better turf horse. I like this horse switching back to grass for Asmussen.
12-1 on the morning line on Branded Hand. The number 6 is Husband's Folly. We have a formulator fact for trainer Greg DePrima. Husband's Folly over the past 5 years moving from dirt to turf, 0 for 37, but Husband's Folly is going to be a big price, so you may want to take that formulator fact with a grain of salt if you really like this horse. He doesn't win very often. He's got a closing style, though, that may be aided by a fast pace.
Right. He doesn't win very often, but he fits this race very well because he's got back races on turf that'll make him competitive with most of these horses, and he should catch a pace to run into. The formulators that you're right, he's too big a price to worry about it, and Greg DePrima does a good job overall.
Absolutely.
This horse has an outside chance in this race, I think.
The number 7 is Nona's Boy, and the last time Nona's Boy stepped on firm turf, he won with a 96 Beyer speed figure at Saratoga in a race where he was able to get to the front, and he felt very confident once he got an easy lead. His subsequent turf try came over good going, and if you look back over his form, his really best races have not come with give in the ground. John Toscano took this horse for 25, forced to run him on the dirt 4 times, but I wonder if he was claimed with turf in mind.
He very well may have been. I think the question you have to ask yourself about him, because obviously if he runs this good turf race, he's going to be really tough to beat in this race. You just have to ask yourself, do you think he's that horse anymore? I sort of watch him run and think, he's not that horse anymore, but we'll find out. Maybe he's been waiting for turf all along and get back to one of his good ones.
Plus, he's speed. There are other speeds in this race, and there's a little rain in the forecast for Wednesday morning, which might not bode well for him if you believe he doesn't like cutting the ground. The one is Unbridled Ocean, and this is the class of the race, taking a precipitous drop in class for David Jacobson. He was simply overmatched last time out against Siding Spring. That was a race where he tried to make a 4-wide bid and was right into contention turning into this stretch, and then I think he found that company too much for him.
Probably. I think he ran fine last time, and he actually returned from that long layoff back in November over this turf course. He did really well that day against way better horses again. It's a huge drop in class. I think you want to tread very lightly with this horse, who's had his issues, but he is third off the layoff now. If nothing else, Jacobson's one of those guys, Dan, he drops to win. And I think he's dropping this horse. I don't think he cares if anybody claims him. I think this horse will probably run pretty well.
Number 8 is Instant Replay, who was claimed 2 starts back and then ran in one of those claiming crown sort of events at Aqueduct, right? The more to tell. And I don't really think he was embarrassed in that race. Career best Beyer speed figure of 83. Turf is a little bit of a question for Instant Replay, although A, he's by Lemon Drop Kid, and B, he's got a turf guru in Junior Alvarado aboard.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. I mean, the turf form isn't there. He's facing some horses. I mean, even if he transfers his dirt form over, it's not going to be good enough, so he better be a lot better on the grass.
I believe that the 2 Winter Springs is in for the waiver claim. I think Ray Handel's using his waiver claim here. This horse hasn't run since Saratoga. He doesn't have to lose him off of a long laugh, which makes me think that maybe it's a prep race.
Could be a prep race. We'll see what happens with him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's actually a very good point. If he's using the waiver, maybe he's just getting a race into him. This is a horse who they stretched out at the end of last year. Maybe he's going to look for a longer race for him. I don't know. We'll see what happens. boy, don't like his form since they got him into North America. I know there's a lot of stakes races in there, but I was not a fan of this horse last year.
I think he does fit well at this class level, however, and if the pace is fast, he has a nice mid-pack running style. He's not a true one-run closer. When Ray Handel claimed this horse from Chad, he was able to beat 3 next-out winners when stretching him all the way out. He didn't run great last time out against Neo Classic. Something must have happened. It preceded this long layoff, but I think on his very best race, he fits well with these horses.
And he does have the right running style. You're right about that.
Frogman Mel is another horse that fits well at this class level. He was simply in too tough last time out against a field that included Nessie, who came back to earn an 86 Beyer speed figure. One thing Frogman Mel has going with him is the right running style, but also he does very well over this course.
Yeah, likes the Aqueduct turf course, has the right running style where he'll come from off the pace and make a big run. He's a very hard horse to ride. You go back and watch all of his races. I mean, he is a handful for his riders, but when he settles, he comes with a big run to the stretch.
New York bred No Texting also figures to add to this pace. He's kept decent form on the dirt, however, and his turf form pretty good against New York breds last year. He wouldn't mind some cut in the ground.
Right, he does have the turf form, but he is a speed from a very tough post. There's tons of pace to his inside. That's not going to help this horse, but I don't mind him going back to grass with him because overall his dirt form's not great.
Let's take a look at our top selections for our Formulator race of the day. It's race number 5. I don't really think you like this race that much. Unbridled Ocean Drops should get the right setup.
Yeah, he's got things working in his favor. Again, you want to tread lightly with this big class drop, but if he runs his race, he's better than these horses. He'll probably win. I'm going to use the 5 and the 9 with him, though. They're my 2 horses at better prices to use.
1, 5, 9 for Mike in the race of the day. I'm hoping that Winter Springs is ready to go off of the layoff. I think he fits well from a Beyer and class standpoint and should get a setup. If his stablemate, the 2B Motown Sound, gets into this race, he's mired on the also eligible list. I'd give him a little bit of a look. He's by Unbridled Song. His dam was a graded stakes winner on turf, and he's a half to a stakes winner on turf. Maybe he's been waiting for the grass all along, but he's stuck on the also eligible list. 2, 1, and 6 for me in our Formulator race of the day. If you are betting the Wednesday Aqueduct card from home, a $300 sign-up bonus is available to new DRF Bet subscribers. Head on over to drf.com/trifecta for all the details. An approximate post time for our race of the day, the 5th at the Big A, is 3:38 Eastern. Best of luck.